In old age, strategic displays of limited comprehension are advantageous in 7 specific circumstances. Have you ever felt that with age comes wisdom, yet sometimes intelligence brings more trouble than benefit? The old adage, "Still waters run deep," suggests that appearing less intelligent can be advantageous. In life, feigning naivete can be the best form of self-preservation. This is particularly true in later life. Strategically appearing uninformed can help avoid conflict, maintain peace, and ensure a happier retirement. Let's explore specific situations where this strategy proves effective. 1. When confronted with arrogance. The arrogant individual. Arrogant individuals presume omniscience, dominating conversations to assert their perceived superiority. They are not interested in truth or knowledge acquisition, but solely in self-affirmation and validation. They do not listen to comprehend, but rather to refute. They manipulate contexts and distort information to serve their self-interest. They are incapable of accepting defeat, as admitting error is equated with a loss of face. Engaging in debate with an arrogant individual is futile. When confronted with arrogance, even irrefutable logic, evidence, and experience are rendered meaningless. This is because such individuals do not genuinely listen, but instead seek only to refute. They are unconcerned with the truth, prioritizing self-aggrandizement. Further argumentation only reinforces their convictions, as these are inextricably linked to their self-image. Strategic countermeasures, calculated silence and feigned ignorance. Rather than engaging in debate with an arrogant individual, a superior tactic is to allow them the perceived victory. Non-responsiveness is key. Without reciprocation, their impetus for continued argumentation is lost. Permitting self-aggrandizement, in the absence of opposition, their arrogance becomes meaningless. Silence does not equate to defeat. It is a calculated strategy to avoid the expenditure of energy on unproductive discourse. The power of silence. Silence is not weakness or surrender, but a potent strategy. The arrogant expect opposition. The absence of response disorients them. They require external validation to maintain their perceived superiority. Withholding it undermines their position. Truth does not necessitate defense in every argument. Time will ultimately reveal its veracity. 2. When confronted with a manipulator. Manipulators employ sophisticated psychological tactics to control others, exploiting emotions, trust, or fear. They may feign benevolence while seeking control, play the victim to induce guilt, employ gaslighting to undermine confidence, or utilize charm to deceive. The manipulator's ultimate goal is to subvert your autonomy, subtly directing your actions without your awareness. Recognizing the hallmarks of a manipulator is crucial for protecting oneself from their insidious influence. Manipulators employ a range of tactics, often subtle and insidious, to exert control and undermine their victim's autonomy. One common tactic is inducing guilt. Manipulators skillfully shift blame, even when they are clearly at fault, leaving their target feeling responsible for rectifying the situation. This fosters a sense of obligation and dependence. Furthermore, manipulators frequently distort reality, rewriting narratives to serve their own interests. They may selectively omit crucial details, exaggerate minor incidents, or outright fabricate events to create a false narrative that supports their agenda. Gaslighting, a particularly insidious form of manipulation, involves systematically undermining the victim's perception of reality. This can manifest as denying events that occurred, questioning the victim's memory or sanity, or subtly twisting their words to create confusion and self-doubt. The creation of time pressure is another hallmark of manipulative illusion. Effectively countering manipulation, a strategic approach. Emotional detachment is paramount. Manipulators thrive on eliciting emotional responses, circumventing rational thought. Maintain composure, resist being drawn into their emotionally charged tactics. A calm, rational response disrupts their manipulative strategies. Establishing firm boundaries is crucial. When manipulation is detected, assertively define your limits. Do not succumb to guilt when refusing unreasonable demands. Clearly communicate your boundaries, both verbally and through actions. This demonstrates a strong sense of self and limits the manipulator's influence. Independent verification is essential. Objectively assess situations. Avoid relying solely on the manipulator's narrative. Seek corroboration from trusted sources to ensure you are not being misled. This independent verification provides a crucial reality check, mitigating the impact of manipulative tactics. Refrain from engaging in unproductive arguments. Manipulators distort facts and sow self-doubt. Instead of engaging in futile arguments, maintain your position with unwavering conviction. Avoid being drawn into their attempts to undermine your confidence or shift the blame. Disengaging from toxic relationships may be necessary. If manipulative behavior persists despite your efforts, consider limiting or severing contact. Prioritizing your well-being necessitates distancing yourself from individuals who consistently undermine your emotional and psychological health. Protecting your mental and emotional well-being is a priority that should not be compromised. 3. When confronted with envy from others, the inherent nature of envy is rooted in comparative evaluation. Envy, a fundamentally negative emotion, arises from the perception of another's superior attributes, be it success, happiness, or advantageous circumstances. When an individual experiences envy towards you, it stems from their internal dissatisfaction and a perceived inadequacy in comparison to your achievements. This feeling of inadequacy manifests in several ways. Firstly, they perceive your accomplishments or prominence as a direct threat to their own self-worth. Secondly, their desire for what you possess is not channeled into constructive self-improvement, but instead fuels a corrosive envy that dictates their emotional responses and subsequent actions. This may lead to feelings of inferiority, potentially manifesting as aggressive behavior, slander, or deliberate attempts to undermine your position. It is crucial to understand that envy is fundamentally the envier's internal struggle, not a reflection of your shortcomings. However, unchecked and unaddressed, the effects of another's envy can significantly impact your well-being and necessitate a proactive approach to mitigate its influence. Recognizing the behaviors of an envious individual. Several key indicators signal envy. Firstly, the envious individual actively seeks to diminish your accomplishments. Instead of offering genuine congratulations upon your successes, they employ dismissive remarks such as, "That's nothing special," "It was just luck," or "Anyone could do that." This belittling serves to undermine your achievements and maintain their perceived superiority. Secondly, a defining characteristic of envy is a persistent drive to compete. Rather than celebrating your progress, the envious person feels compelled to demonstrate their own capabilities, often in direct comparison to your successes. This competitive spirit is not born of healthy ambition, but rather from a deep-seated insecurity fueled by your accomplishments. Thirdly, malicious gossip and the spread of false rumors are common tactics. The envious individual actively works to damage your reputation, distorting facts, fabricating stories, and planting seeds of doubt in the minds of others. This behavior stems from a desire to undermine your positive image and social standing. Fourthly, a lack of genuine empathy is evident in their response to your setbacks. While they may feign sympathy or offer superficial consolation, their underlying emotion is one of schadenfreude, a feeling of pleasure derived from another's misfortune. This lack of compassion reveals the true nature of their envy. Finally, the act of blatant imitation is a clear sign. Envious individuals may mimic your style, work methods, or even ideas in an attempt to possess the qualities they perceive you to have. This imitation is not inspired by admiration, but rather by a desperate desire to acquire what they lack. These behaviors, when observed in combination, strongly suggest the presence of envy. Effectively addressing envy. Maintain unwavering self-confidence and remain unfazed by envious individuals. Continue pursuing your goals without being distracted by negativity. Rebuff attempts to provoke you into self-justification. Your value requires no validation. Limit personal disclosures to those who genuinely support you, as some may exploit your vulnerability. Project humility, inspire rather than boast. Refrain from reciprocating negativity. Let your achievements speak for themselves. If necessary, establish distance from those who envy manifest as harmful behavior. 4. When confronted with an obstinate individual, obstinacy is characterized by the unwavering adherence to one's viewpoint, even in the face of compelling evidence to the contrary or superior alternatives. Such individuals typically disregard opposing perspectives and vehemently defend their positions. This resistance to change often stems from a fear of losing control or appearing less competent. A rigid mindset, Believing their approach to be the only correct one frequently accompanies this behavior. Furthermore, they are unreceptive to constructive criticism, believing themselves to possess all necessary knowledge. Obstinate individuals may be encountered in professional, familial, social, and other interpersonal contexts. Understanding how to manage these interactions is crucial for mitigating conflict and achieving optimal outcomes. Individuals exhibiting stubbornness often display a consistent pattern of inflexible behavior. A key indicator is their unwillingness to consider alternative perspectives. When presented with differing viewpoints, they immediately dismiss them without proper evaluation or consideration of the merits. This refusal to engage in constructive dialogue is a hallmark of their rigid mindset. Furthermore, even when confronted with irrefutable evidence contradicting their position, they steadfastly refuse to acknowledge error. This unwavering adherence to their beliefs, regardless of factual accuracy, demonstrates a profound lack of intellectual flexibility. Their behavior often extends to a controlling tendency, driven by the unshakable belief in the absolute correctness of their own methods. They impose their preferred approach on others, disregarding the potential benefits of alternative strategies and exhibiting a disregard for the autonomy of others. This inflexibility manifests as an inability to adapt or compromise, even when presented with demonstrably superior options. Finally, their stubbornness is frequently accompanied by a volatile temperament. Any challenge to their beliefs or methods elicits an immediate and often disproportionate emotional response, characterized by anger and hostility. This pattern of behavior underscores a deep-seated resistance to change and a profound intolerance of dissenting opinions. Effectively managing interactions with obstinate individuals, a strategic approach. Maintaining composure and patience is paramount when engaging with individuals exhibiting stubbornness. Reacting with anger or engaging in contentious arguments will only reinforce their entrenched positions. A calm demeanor allows for better control of the interaction and fosters a more receptive environment. Direct confrontation should be avoided. Attempts to force a change in perspective will likely result in increased resistance. Instead of directly stating, "You are wrong," a more productive approach involves presenting alternative viewpoints. "I have a different perspective. Would you be open to hearing it?" Employing inquisitive questioning techniques is significantly more effective than engaging in direct debate. Rather than immediately refuting their claims, consider posing questions such as, "Do you believe there might be a more effective approach? What potential risks do you foresee if we were to implement this alternative method? What potential outcomes might we expect if we were to proceed with my suggestion?" This approach empowers them to maintain a sense of control within the discussion. Presenting concrete evidence is crucial for persuasive communication. When seeking to influence their viewpoint, rely on quantifiable data, verifiable evidence, and specific examples rather than relying solely on theoretical arguments. While individuals may resist subjective opinions, objective facts are considerably more difficult to refute. Framing the interaction to allow the individual to believe they are making their own decisions is a powerful technique. Obstinate individuals are often resistant to coercion. However, if they perceive the decision as their own, they are more likely to accept the proposed solution. Subtly guide the conversation to lead them towards the desired outcome, allowing them to feel ownership of the decision-making process. Recognizing when to disengage is a critical aspect of effective communication. If, despite your best efforts, the individual remains unyielding, it is prudent to cease further attempts at persuasion. In such instances, it is often more beneficial to allow them to learn from their experiences and potentially reach their own conclusions through practical application. 5. When overburdened with responsibilities. Overburdening with responsibilities is a prevalent issue in professional, academic, and personal life. This often stems from misplaced trust or deliberate offloading of tasks by superiors or colleagues. Inadequate staffing or inefficient task allocation also contributes significantly. Furthermore, individuals with proven capabilities or an inability to decline additional work may find themselves overwhelmed. The consequences of such overcommitment are demonstrably detrimental, leading to burnout, life imbalance, and diminished productivity. Recognizing the signs of overburdened responsibilities. A consistently overbooked schedule devoid of respite is a primary indicator. Persistent feelings of stress, pressure, and burnout are further compelling evidence. The inability to consistently meet deadlines due to an excessive workload signifies a critical imbalance. A marked increase in errors and a decline in overall work performance are direct consequences of overwhelming responsibilities. Finally, the erosion of personal time dedicated to self-care, family, and personal pursuits underscores a critical need for reassessment and intervention. These symptoms collectively point to a situation demanding immediate attention and proactive measures to alleviate the unsustainable workload. Reasons for your overwhelming workload. You are a highly competent and responsible individual. Successful task completion fosters trust and increased delegation. Continuously accepting assignments without objection reinforces the perception of unlimited capacity. You lack the ability to decline tasks. Fear of upsetting colleagues or superiors and apprehension about appearing lazy or irresponsible prevents you from saying no. Unreasonable workload distribution is prevalent in some organizations and teams lacking clear task allocation, resulting in individual overload. Insufficient peer support exacerbates workload in team settings where collaboration is absent. Exploitation of your goodwill occurs when you consistently assist others without establishing boundaries. Effectively managing an overwhelming workload, overburdened with responsibilities, proactive strategies are crucial for maintaining productivity and well-being. Here's a structured approach to address excessive workload assignments. Prioritization and time management. Begin by meticulously listing all assigned tasks. Employ the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, to identify the 20% of tasks yielding 80% of the results. Focus your immediate efforts on these critical assignments, scheduling them strategically within your time frame. Utilize proven time management techniques, such as time blocking or the Pomodoro technique, to optimize efficiency and minimize distractions. Assertive declination. When faced with an unmanageable workload, politely but firmly decline additional responsibilities. Instead of a simple no, articulate your current commitments. For example, state, "I am currently prioritizing several critical projects with imminent deadlines. Could we explore alternative solutions or reallocate this task?" Or, "While I am interested in contributing, my current workload prevents me from taking on this additional responsibility without compromising the quality of my existing commitments." Proposing alternative solutions. Rather than simply expressing limitations, proactively suggest alternative approaches. This demonstrates initiative and problem-solving skills. For instance, propose, "I can effectively manage specific tasks, but to ensure timely completion of all projects, can we delegate other tasks to colleague X or Y?" This collaborative approach fosters teamwork and efficient resource allocation. Seeking support and collaboration. Open communication is paramount. If the workload remains excessive, schedule a meeting with your supervisor to discuss the distribution of tasks and potential adjustments to project timelines or resource allocation. Actively seek collaboration with colleagues. Identify tasks amenable to shared responsibility or expertise. This not only reduces individual burden, but also fosters team cohesion and knowledge sharing. Establishing boundaries and prioritizing well-being. Learn to assertively decline tasks that exceed your capacity. Establish clear working hours and adhere to them consistently. Avoid excessive overtime, recognizing that burnout diminishes productivity and negatively impacts overall well-being. Prioritize self-care, ensuring sufficient time for personal activities, family, and relaxation. This proactive approach to self-preservation is essential for long-term success and sustained performance. 6. When someone deliberately disrupts your peace. The essence of disrupting peace is the deliberate undermining of one's mental, emotional, and physical equilibrium. Such disruption manifests in various ways, including provocation, the creation of conflict, and the deliberate instigation of discord. These actions may involve verbal or physical means designed to unsettle and provoke emotional distress, resulting in anxiety, stress, and a loss of emotional control. Furthermore, such disruptions can significantly impact one's life, work, and relationships. The motivations behind these actions may stem from envy, resentment, interpersonal animosity, or a simple propensity for causing chaos. Individuals who habitually disrupt your peace of mind exhibit predictable patterns of behavior. Firstly, drama mongers actively cultivate conflict, spreading rumors and fostering misunderstandings. Their satisfaction derives from observing the distress of others, consistently exhibiting negativity through criticism and denigration. Secondly, envious individuals harbor resentment towards your achievements, happiness, and overall well-being. They actively undermine your progress through malicious gossip, fabrication of false narratives, and attempts to diminish your value. Their ultimate aim is your failure and unhappiness. Thirdly, psychological manipulators employ insidious tactics to induce guilt and self-doubt. They frequently adopt the role of victim to elicit feelings of culpability, thereby eroding your self-confidence and trust in those around you. Finally, controlling individuals find your independent and peaceful existence intolerable. They exert undue pressure and attempt to dictate your thoughts and actions, resulting in feelings of confinement and a suppression of personal freedom. Recognizing these behavioral patterns is crucial in establishing and maintaining personal boundaries to safeguard your tranquility. Recognizing those who disrupt your peace. They consistently create unnecessary problems or conflict. Interactions leave you feeling drained and stressed. They actively seek to provoke frustration, anger, or anxiety. They manipulate you, inducing guilt or insecurity. Their actions significantly disrupt your life. Effectively managing disruptive individuals, maintain composure. Do not allow others to control your emotional state. Remember, disruptors thrive on your reactions. Breathe deeply and consider your response carefully. Establish clear boundaries. Limit interaction with individuals who persistently cause disruption. If necessary, firmly state, "I do not wish to discuss this topic." If the behavior continues, disengage or terminate communication. Avoid their provocations. Disruptive individuals often seek a reaction to justify their behavior. Ignore provocations and maintain self-control. Distance yourself or sever contact. Minimize contact with individuals who consistently negatively impact you. If necessary, block their phone number, social media accounts, or avoid direct interaction. Learn to say no. You have the right to refuse demands, control, or unwanted intrusions. Clearly state, "I am unwilling to participate in this." Prioritize self-care. Engage in activities that promote peace of mind. Meditation, reading, walking, listening to music. Prevent negativity from dominating your thoughts. Seek support when necessary. If someone is causing significant harm, seek assistance from friends, family, or professionals. Do not hesitate to seek guidance if you feel vulnerable. 7. When confronted with a provocateur, understanding provocateurs. Provocateurs intentionally create conflict or antagonism. They employ verbal or physical actions designed to irritate and elicit a response. Their aim is to manipulate your emotional state, provoking you into losing composure so they gain an advantage. Their motives may include demonstrating dominance, creating a pretext for aggression, or simply deriving satisfaction from witnessing another's distress. Common types of provocateurs. The antagonist. This individual consistently seeks to goad and irritate, employing both verbal and physical means to incite negative reactions and engage in unproductive arguments. The belittler. This type of provocateur deliberately disparages and criticizes in public, using insulting or contemptuous language to undermine confidence and reputation. The passive-aggressive provocateur. This individual avoids direct confrontation, instead utilizing sarcasm and mockery to subtly provoke. They feign innocence while intentionally inciting anger, subsequently assuming the role of victim. The challenger. This provocateur directly challenges, aiming to elicit a strong response and force unwanted conflict. Their goal is often to manipulate the situation by exploiting the provoked reaction. Recognizing provocative behavior. Individuals engaging in provocation will consistently employ aggressive or sarcastic language. They deliberately create stressful situations to elicit a response, deriving satisfaction from your resulting distress. Furthermore, they may escalate provocation by targeting you in public settings to amplify pressure. Their communication style and actions are consistently designed to antagonize. Strategies for effectively handling provocation. Maintain composure. Avoid immediate reaction. Provocateurs thrive on eliciting emotional responses. deep breathing and thoughtful consideration before responding are crucial. A measured response, contrary to their expectations, effectively neutralizes their efforts. Consider using statements such as, "I do not have time for this unproductive interaction," or, "If you wish to engage in a respectful dialogue, I am willing to listen." Emotional detachment. Refrain from allowing anger to dictate your actions. Remember, loss of composure equates to victory for the provocateur. Effective strategies include maintaining silence to disengage their attempts, or responding with calm neutrality. "While I respect your opinion, I disagree." Establish clear boundaries. Persistent provocation necessitates limiting interaction. If necessary, issue a firm warning. Examples include, "I find this manner of communication unacceptable." Further instances will result in the termination of our interaction, or, "I am uninterested in participating in this behavior." Resist psychological manipulation. Never allow a provocateur to control your thoughts. The stronger their desire to unsettle you, the more resolute you must remain. Effective psychological countermeasures include the invisible strategy, acting as if they do not exist, and the silent counterattack, the potent discouragement of being ignored. Avoid unnecessary conflict. If provocation is intended to instigate conflict, strategically disengage. Not all conflicts are winnable. Sometimes, calculated avoidance is the most effective strategy. Useful statements include, "I am unwilling to expend time on this unproductive exchange," or, "You are entitled to your perspective, but I remain unconcerned." Employ humor as a deflective tactic. Instead of anger, consider transforming provocation into a humorous response. A lack of seriousness often disengages the provocateur. For example, if confronted with the statement, "You are incompetent," a suitable response might be, "Thank you for your observation. However, I remain quite capable." When to seek intervention. If someone persistently provokes you and negatively impacts your well-being, consider seeking assistance from an authority figure, supervisor, teacher, manager. Minimizing or eliminating contact entirely, if feasible. Engaging law enforcement if subjected to serious harassment or abuse. Indeed, true intelligence sometimes lies not in showcasing one's knowledge, but in strategically employing it for self-preservation. Remember, confrontation and self-justification are not always necessary. Sometimes, calculated ignorance, choosing not to see, hear, or understand, is the wisest course of action. Have you ever found that feigning naivete shielded you from unnecessary complications? Share your experiences in the comments below. And remember to like, subscribe, and enable notifications for future insightful life lessons.